Divine Rising New Earth, welcome to the show where we broadcast the frequency of the new earth now. My name is Annika, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host.
I'm Callista.
Today, we are going to be diving into a very potent, transformative concept, negative core beliefs. We're going to talk a little bit about it, tell you how you can start to identify yours, and then offer some ways to start to dissolve this and blossom into your ultimate potential. So we're super excited to have you here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Callista, will you tell us a little bit about this concept and why it's such a potent, powerful topic to dive into?
Yes, I am extremely excited because this is one of our first creation offerings that we have ever brought forth. As some of you might know, if you followed our last podcast, Brainwash Yourself, we have long been fascinated by the art of reprogramming the subconscious mind and the fact that your beliefs are basically the building blocks of your life experience, and we have more control than many might realize over our beliefs and therefore our lives. So this concept of the negative core beliefs was introduced to me at my friend Allison's houseboat. Shout out Allison by her friend, shout out Seth. It's a very specific list. If you Google negative core beliefs, it doesn't even come up on the first page. So there's a lot of confusing results that just list examples of negative beliefs. But the one that we are referencing that I first learned about years ago is on this website called
core-beliefs-balance.com. We'll put it in the show notes.
Beliefs balance. Yes. This is a list of 11 beliefs, and I think it's important to note that you don't have one core belief. So it's not that you have one core belief and it's either negative or positive. The idea is more that all of your negative beliefs stem from one central core negative belief. So these are not your core beliefs, but one of them is possibly the core of all the rest of your negative beliefs.
And the central idea of it is kind of like it's the one thing that makes us feel
not good enough.
Mm-hmm. But it's like a different version for every single person.
Yes. As you can imagine, this would be an extremely potent belief to reprogram if you were to identify which of these 11 core negative beliefs, which we'll read out, is your core negative belief, and then to reprogram and repattern that will literally eliminate the root of all your negative beliefs. So I think it is just a really interesting strategy to experiment with.
It's like going to like the root cause, especially because the idea around these negative core beliefs is that they aren't actually true. They're not like the ultimate truth, but they're something that we have come to believe about ourselves at a very young age that has basically assimilated into our self-concept. We believe this core negative thing about ourselves, and so it makes us believe all these little negative things about ourselves in all of our situations in life and interactions as we move through our lives. And so if we can kind of go back to this root and start to dissolve the root, then everything else subsequently can start to dissolve, and our reality can then reflect something different, because our reality will reflect the beliefs that we have about ourselves. And then so we'll just keep getting reconfirmed that these things about ourselves are true, but they're not in this ultimate sense of like who we actually are, our infinite divine nature. And so when we can kind of clear that away, then we can experience the truth of who we really are from a clearer perspective. So as Callista reads these, just tune in and see which one might spark something in you, because it can be really subtle. Like you were saying, when we had read it previously, you'll get like a little tinge of curiosity with the one that might be the most relevant to you. So it could be very obvious to you, or it could just be like a little ping that you're getting. Feel into it.
I think that these are not going to be super obvious and triggering to you, because this is just my theory and perspective and experience. I think it is pretty deep in the shadow. So, a lot of our negative beliefs come from childhood trauma before we are 4 years old. So we don't remember. And we have so little understanding of the world that we take a event that happens to us to mean that we are lacking in some way. And that message that we get from whatever arbitrary event that was is the negative core belief. So a couple disclaimers, like Annika was saying. First of all, when I list out these 11 negative core beliefs, all examples of basically I'm not good enough, the energy is going to be a little heavy for those of you who are strict with your mental diet and sensitive to energy. This is not going to be the best vibes when I'm reading out this whole list, and you'll feel it. And also, in the times that I've seen people read this list and reflect, it was not really clear. The core belief that was theirs did not stand out, didn't really trigger them, wasn't really obvious to them. But I observed for every person, as they're reading through each list, there was one for every person that they were like, like just one that made them pause. They thought it was interesting. It made them think. So if you're doing this with someone, or if you are just going through these on your own, it can be that subtle of a reaction where it might not be obvious to you, but the one that kind of makes you wonder, question mark, is the one probably. So these negative core beliefs are: I am not safe, I don't belong, I have no value or I'm worthless, I am powerless, I am wrong or I'm unsure, my life is out of balance, I don't exist or I'm nothing, I'm not real, I am not lovable or I'm unwanted, I am defective, and I am not whole. I lost my spirit. I skipped right over mine. I didn't even notice I read it, but it was like up at the top. So if you go to the website too, there's also, which can be helpful, different examples of the thoughts that are generated by these negative core beliefs. So you can see if any of the negative core beliefs have a list of thoughts that look more familiar to you than the other list. So for example, I'll just do the first one. If your negative core belief is I am not safe, you might have thoughts and sentiments of being unprotected, afraid, vulnerable, helpless, thinking that nobody will protect you, and having issues of like safety, security, peace, harmony, vulnerability, and protection. So my negative core belief is I don't belong. Linked issues are belonging, connection, and self-nurturing. If you're feeling triggered, your nervous system is dysregulated, and you're having a lot of these thoughts associated with your core negative belief, it's really good to have awareness, because it reinforces that it's not actually because it's true. It is extremely default. If I'm feeling triggered, I'm feeling anxious for any reason, to have my brain interpret that fear in my body as I don't belong, I don't fit in, these people think I'm weird, these people don't like me, I'm different, I'm the black sheep. It could have nothing to do with how well I fit in with these people and how well the people like me. That's just like the patterns my brain runs when it is in a negative frequency, so to speak. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because why would I go and connect with people who I don't belong, I don't fit in, they don't like me? And then of course I'm not gonna like build connections and friendships with them because I'm acting out of that core negative belief and it's manifesting in my reality. So these are things that I have cleared out a lot. I think that learning about these core negative beliefs years ago has been beneficial in that process, and all of these are the same way. So if your core negative belief is just any of these, and you start to feel like when you're triggered, your circumstances are showing you that these thoughts associated, like if you think you're unlovable and then you get triggered, you're out of your comfort zone and you start to think you're always left out, you don't matter, you're not special, you're not wanted, you're alone, you're unwelcome, you're not important. It's like you're triggered. That's what it is. You are lovable. Your core negative belief is triggered, and the more we can repattern it and clear it out, the less those programs will run in your mind.
Yes, I love this so much. This whole list of negative core beliefs has really made me be able to see how we all have such different fears after really digesting all of these and how different they are. Like, I can see so many people that I know landing in different ones than I am. And it just makes so much sense because sometimes you have like a really good friend or a loved one and you're like, why would you be afraid of that? Like, that literally makes no sense. You're fine. Like, you're making something out of nothing, but it's because it's triggering their personal negative core belief, which is not something that you have, unless you guys have the same one, but somebody else who might feel very unsafe, vulnerable, and like you don't have that at all, and you're like, there's nothing to fear, like there's no problem, you know what I mean? But yours is just so entirely different. And to appreciate the spectrum of human experience and be able to have grace for people, and then also, I think you're so correct that it's so magical to learn about this because you start to realize that most of the things that you fear or like get worked up about are an illusion that are kind of this thing that you're creating yourself. And when you start to take your power back with awareness, like Calista was talking about, awareness can do so much, because if you're looking at it from a lens where like, you know, that the thoughts that you're having, like, they're not like actually the reality, they actually are stemming from something much deeper and much older, that is like sometimes all you need. But then we like to work with the mind and work with brainwashing ourselves to essentially dissolve these at the root. And with the negative core beliefs specifically, it's so powerful to not even so much focus on the negative core belief, but focus on projecting a positive belief and starting to integrate that within your psyche. Because if you bring the focus onto that and you install that program, then you're not going to be running the negative one. And so one way that we like to do that is with subliminals, which is like one of our favorite ways to reprogram our subconscious mind. And we've talked about subliminals so much on this show, and our old show, Brainwash Yourself, was inspired by our love for subliminals and reprogramming the subconscious mind, because it's just so powerful. It is about going to the root and then allowing everything to blossom forth with ease once you take care of the programming that's running most of your life, all these beliefs that we hold and these beliefs that we have integrated over time. And we say so much that like the truth is that like you can change the software, aka the beliefs that are programmed in your subconscious mind, and the computer game of your life will completely change. Just like the way if you change the software of a computer game, the whole game will change in so many miraculous ways that like you couldn't even begin to imagine if you just take care of like the small beginning pieces of it.
Because your conscious mind is like the avatar. Like the avatar in the game has no idea what the code says.
Yes.
That's in your subconscious mind. And I love what you're saying, because the core of this is that our mind puts so many projections and limits out of fear on to ourselves, the fear that we're not good enough, when the fact is you are. Naturally, your soul's frequency is what is needed to be brought forth. So all of the limits, the obstacles, the traumas, the dysfunction is this artificial extra defense coping mechanism that we have added on top. It's never like a deficiency or a error with who we truly are, our core identity. So when we are clearing out and reprogramming these beliefs, it's not really about changing who we are, but it's about learning to embrace the inherent perfection of who we are before we got programmed by our fears and our traumas and other people's fears and traumas to put up these like protective layers and protective masks. And it's fascinating that we're talking about getting to the root. And it literally never occurred to me to this conversation to think like, what about this core belief, I'm not good enough?
Yeah.
That they're all talking about. Yeah. And like, I'm not enough. And it's like my negative core belief, I don't belong, repatterning that, I belong. And it's like, well, we could all really repattern with I'm enough, I guess.
Or I'm perfect, even.
Yeah, I'm good enough, I'm enough.
Perfect, whole, complete.
Exactly. Well, it's funny, perfect, whole, complete is exactly what we
did for one of them.
We did for some of them.
I think we did I'm whole and complete. I don't think we did I'm perfect.
Yeah,
which
did.
I feel like
for I'm defective.
Oh.
But I think I'm enough we did not do.
I'm enough.
Yeah,
I don't know why that one always hits me as like, yeah, but like we're more than enough. You know what I mean? Like we're not like, oh, I'm like good enough. It's like, no, you're literally perfect.
I see what you're saying and I resonate because I felt that feeling. But I also think too, it's like that energy is like being enough is not enough. Which I love the phrase, too much is almost enough.
Too much is almost enough. Well, I mean, I kind of, being enough is not enough. Maybe it's like the semantics of it, but I don't think that enough is like that much of a vibe. I feel like everybody is like perfect. So it's not like, oh, you being enough isn't enough. I'm just like, no, I feel like that's not doing you justice.
I see what you're saying. I don't disagree at all.
Yeah, because like enough is kind of like the vibe of like, you're good enough. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's like, you know what I mean?
I know exactly the energy you're talking about and the connotation. 100%. It's not excellent. It's not 110%.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that like you have to do something to be perfect. You just are. But like enough for who? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, no, you're just perfect.
You also don't have to be perfect to be enough.
Yeah.
I mean, just a different perspective. I definitely resonate with how you felt. And then I definitely also...
I guess I just feel like perfect has nothing, like enough is almost like an amount or something. And like perfect is just like, no matter how much you are, what form you're in, you're exactly how you're supposed to be.
Right, but enough is always enough.
Yeah. Perfect is always perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like semantics, I guess.
I just recently kind of came around to the perspective I'm describing from feeling exactly how you felt. Because I saw someone in the YouTube comments say that was the core root affirmation. Mm-hmm. Not in this perspective, but I guess it is kind of the same conclusion that I was just drawing from that as what they were saying in the YouTube comments. And I was thinking the same thing as you, like, oh, interesting, never really resonated with that. But then I was thinking too, okay, everything that we would block ourselves from, I'm enough. Like it does kind of correct our limiting thoughts a lot. But anyway, just a side note conversation.
2. Okay, so subliminals. Just to reiterate again, if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, it is repetitive, positive affirmations. I mean, those are the ones that we like to focus on to reprogram the subconscious mind. And they are like audio. So they're quieter than the ear can hear. And usually there will just be some relaxing noise over it, white noise, brown noise. We used 432 hertz, which is a very, very healing frequency for the human system. And we also used some water sounds for clearing and cleansing and some other things. But basically it's like usually there's some noise that's like very palatable and relaxing. And then beneath that, there are positive affirmations pumping. And your subconscious mind picks up on all of them and records all of them and intakes them all at this level where it's really powerful in a different way than if you actually like heard something on an audible level, because there's no part of you that is of your conscious mind that's going to come and negate it based upon other beliefs that you have in your subconscious mind. You're just kind of like picking up this recording of all these new beliefs, and a lot of really good subliminals will plug a ton of those affirmations in. So you're just getting this like huge repetition of positive beliefs that can start to reinforce a new self-concept, and you'll move into a self-concept where, you know, you'll feel like you are enough instead of not enough, and it'll just start to install the software in you. And so we love to sleep to subliminals. We play them all day, honestly. And we're pretty hardcore, but we made 11 tracks, subliminal tracks, that any of you can listen to. We're personally taking our negative core belief and listening. Every single one of these subliminal tracks has the positive reinforcement of each of the negative beliefs. So it's just one affirmation, which is very, very powerful to have one powerful affirmation. And we found this through experimentation throughout time, using subliminal tracks that have tons and tons of affirmations, using subliminal tracks that have just one affirmation, and they're all powerful in their own way, but the ones that have one really good affirmation are so transformative, because like we were saying, like when you go to the root of something and you like really replace it with something powerful that can like overarchingly affect all these other beliefs and assumptions that you have in your life and in your subconscious mind, it just like kind of is this mega domino effect. And so anyway, we're super excited. We've wanted to make subliminals forever, and this was honestly an inspired idea from Callista. So
well, it's really interesting. It's true about the one affirmation, because repetition is a huge theme of brainwashing yourself. There's a theory that with 10,000 repetitions of something, your brain accepts it as the truth. There's a lot of little different theories about the micro nuances of how all of that works, to be honest. But in the most simple practical terms, if you only have one affirmation, you can fit in more repetitions. And we set it in you are and I am format. So you are style can help when you are very resistant to a belief in your self-concept and you need someone to tell you you are, because when you hear I am, you just don't relate. But we said you are, I am, we did in our own voices, both our voices, we whispered and we used our normal volume. I have found a lot better results personally with subliminals where people record the affirmations in their voice instead of use the text-to-speech robot voice. And I think it's really interesting that there was not on YouTube really many one affirmation subliminals geared towards correcting these core negative beliefs. So I think it is a valuable offering, and I'm excited to experiment.
100%. I mean, it's like going to the base. I think so many subliminals that are out there are so incredible and so amazing, but they're like, can be very nuanced and specific onto these like outer layer beliefs and effects. I mean, they can even go into changing your physical appearance, all of these things. But when you really go to the root and you shift what's there, the amount of things that can, like the amount of like branches from the tree that go off from there that can end up shifting is infinite. Because that's how you ultimately change your self-concept. And self-concept is like the way that you're going to experience your manifest reality. Mm-hmm. So we're super excited about it. We invite you to identify your negative core belief. And then if you feel called and you want to begin to reprogram that belief for yourself, we will in the show notes have all of those 11 tracks available and you can get yours. And then we would recommend that you sleep to it overnight, because if you just download it on your phone, you can just like put it on repeat. And the volume can be as low as you want. So it can basically be something that you barely hear and you're still going to be picking it up. Because it's like such like a nice relaxing sound to me, I usually have it at an audible level.
That's the other thing too, because we are highly sensitive connoisseurs of these subliminals. The noise that we chose is very soft. The water recording that we chose is very high quality. Like, this is easy on the ears.
Yeah. It's very nice. So you can listen to it all day if you want. Definitely recommend listening to it while you fall asleep and overnight, because it's the best if you can honestly wake up and it's still playing too. All night you're going to be getting, I mean, all the hours that you sleep are hours that you could just be reprogramming your mind every single night. It's such a hack. And then the time where it's absorbing it the most is like as you're falling asleep and as you're waking up. So it's like this perfect window. And these tracks are going to be anywhere between 11 and 20 minutes, and you just put it on repeat and it'll like recycle over as you're sleeping.
Yeah, if you're new to this, expect dreams and take it as a good sign if they reflect exactly your fears.
Yes. And know that we've talked a lot about like wobbling and kind of finding your steadiness in this new way of being as you're reprogramming beliefs. Just honor whatever kind of experience you have. But like if like around 21 days in, you kind of notice things feeling a little bit turbulent, whether it be your internal world or your external world, or even if it's just like a couple days in, like these things are normal because stuff gets cleared out externally and internally when we are starting to assimilate a new self-concept and vibrate at a new frequency. And so that is totally normal. Ride the wave. You can always DM us at Divine Rising New Earth on Instagram. And we're so excited. We're going to be using ours. So we hope you grab yours and use yours and let us know how it is. We're just here for the upliftment of humanity and all beings, and for everybody to be able to realize their sovereign, true, divine power and essence of perfection, and then be able to have all those blocks cleared away so that they can express their soul frequency. That's a gift for this planet and an important part of this collective ascension, which is what we're all about here at Divine Rising New Earth. So if you're still here, thank you so much for being here, and reach out if you have any questions about how to get yours. But we'll have everything in the show notes, so it should be pretty easy.
Try and stick with it for 21, 40, 90, 120, 1,000 days. These increments are really powerful for different reasons. And if you fall off for too many days, start over. Start the count over. Check out our episode, Spiritual Test to Blessed Pipeline, or our Brainwash Yourself episode, We're Wobbling. If you want support through this process that Annika is talking about of reprogramming these deep beliefs, it's a deep process of inner work, and you get tested. You get tested to see if you are really learning your lesson, if your self-concept is really reflecting your new program. And when the exact thing that is perfectly designed comes up in your reality to trigger your negative core belief, are you going to spiral? Possibly, but for how long before you start acting as if you are someone who believes that you're enough, you belong, you're worthy, you're perfect, so on and so forth. So check out those resources, and hopefully this supports you in many ways.
We trust it will. The other thing I would say is definitely check out this link with the website and look at the corresponding thoughts for each negative core belief if you don't feel like you know what yours is yet. That I feel like makes it really clear, because it's super interesting. You can just like tell like, okay, this is the group where these are the thoughts that correspond with me the most.
Yeah, there's some overlap too. I was noticing in like the I don't belong and the I'm unlovable, I'm unwanted. A lot of similar thoughts, and I can tell that mine is I don't belong. So yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like you know.
Yeah.
And you'll know. Okay, we love you so much. And happy transforming. This is a really potent time. We're in such a transformative month. I mean, you could be watching this any time in the future, in the past, in the quantum eternal now present moment. But along this linear Earth time space continuum, it is November 2024, and we are just about to have Pluto move into Aquarius finally for good.
I just got tingles.
This huge shift in consciousness, and there is so much opportunity to just completely quantumly transform. Like Calista was saying, like these transformations, it's us just coming back into resonance with our true, infinite, divine, perfect, enough nature. That is so available right now and always. We love you.
Flourish.
Flourish.